The following is an It Was a Thing on TV special presentation. It's that time of year again, everybody. It is the 2025 It Was a Thing on TV Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It's Greg here with Mike and Chico, and I think this year's class is going to be maybe our best class of all. This is the fourth year we've done this, and this is a very good class for 2025.
Yep, we've got a good combination of rookies and veterans, and frankly, oh God, I'm feeling some kind of way looking at this list here.
This is an incredible class. I mean, we have 16 people lined up plus a Lifetime Achievement Award. Actually, I shouldn't say 16 people. I should say 15 and one non-human being lined up. I don't think it's going to get any better than this. And actually, related to that, Greg, do you want to tell everybody what's going to happen next year, at least tentatively?
Tentatively, the plans are like what the WWE is doing with their Hall of Fame. We're going to have like a reduced class because we got so many people in the Hall of Fame now. It's like we want to make it more exclusive, the Hall of Fame. So we want to probably just lower it to maybe 9 or 10 people next year.
Which I think is absolutely perfect. That's the sweet spot. Yes, we have, like, at this point, 64 people, give or take, in the hall or going into the hall. Yeah, we opened the doors a little bit, but also at the same time, the longer we do this, the less, I don't want to say the lower expectations we're going to have, but that really is a great reason to trim the annual list from, say, 16 down to 8. It does make it more exclusive, more special, so we're not just putting any old person in the hall. But gosh, these are not any old people. This is, I'm going to say it, this is the strongest list of people we've ever put in.
So, Mike, let's start with you. Who's your first inductee?
The first person I'm going to put in is somebody who is a background character generally. I don't think we've talked about this person as, definitely not as a star or a lead, even as like a supporting person. I remember one show we talked about that he was a supporting character, and that was Buffalo Bill. Other than that, this guy just sort of appeared. He's sort of like that guest that always shows up, and he has a very unique voice, better known, especially people our age, as the voice of Piglet in the Winnie the Pooh cartoons back in the 70s and 80s. I'm picking as my first inductee, John Fiedler. And I love, you could edit this out, but I love that as we say the names, you embolden them, sort of like you're giving them the yellow jacket to enter the Hall of Fame.
Yes. All right, I'll just keep this in because no one's going to know this, but we have like a document every year for the Hall of Fame class. So as soon as we induct an inductee, I immediately take it from like normal typeface to bold it.
So John Fiedler is the first of 16 people this year to get that yellow jacket, sort of like the Football Hall of Fame.
Or like maybe when you win the Masters, you get the green jacket.
I was going to say that, but that's not necessarily, going into a Hall of Fame per se, but I was like yay close to saying, hey, it's like the green jacket, especially after the absolutely amazing round of golf we saw last week from Rory McIlroy.
So, Chico, who is your first of your 4 inductees?
My first nominee is somebody we've talked about from Brothers and Sisters, from Life with Lucy, and frankly, from a pilot from last year we covered, Let's Get Personal. And frankly, this guy is a guy who could do pretty much anything he wants, but he chooses to do crap like that. So, my first nominee, Larry Anderson.
And again, as always, I want to point out, not the relief pitcher Larry Anderson.
There you go.
Not the one that got traded for Jeff Bagwell in one of the absolute worst moves in baseball history. With that, Greg, it's your first pick. Who you got?
Well, my first pick is, we talked about him in one of the very early episodes of this podcast. I think it was like episode 12. But also, we talked about him earlier this year in Sledgehammer. And of course, I'm talking about the one, the only Harrison Page.
And we talked about him earlier this year as the first entry of the year when we talked about CPO Sharkey.
That's right, he wasn't CPO Sharkey.
A good choice.
A great trio of shows he's been in: Super Train, CPO Sharkey, and Sledgehammer.
Two decent shows, one Super Train.
That Keenan Wynn invented.
Hey, Hall of Fame inductee, OG class inductee, Keenan Wynn, you mean?
So, Mike, it's time for your second inductee.
The second selection, I'm going to pick a person that I literally just added to our list yesterday. I had another person, and I actually wanted to surprise Greg with it, but in retrospect, it's like, this person's good, but not Hall of Fame good. That person's like the Kenny Lofton of acting. That's such a bad comparison, but I'm going to stick with it. The person that I chose in that person's place is an absolute legend. Where could we start? We could start back 60, almost 65 years ago, when he was the sidekick to Ernie Anderson on Friday night late night movies here in Cleveland. And he parlayed that into something much bigger and not much later. He went to LA at the insistence of Ernie Anderson and ended up on McHale's Navy. And then a little show came along called The Carol Burnett Show. But for our purposes, we remember him from the Tim Conway Show, both versions, the one we've covered and the one we haven't covered, H. Crawford Private Eye, and all the Dorf movies. We just talked about him literally a week ago. Tim Conway, welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Okay, let me dab him off. There you go.
Dab him off! Oh, that's nice. It's like he's a number on a bingo card.
Okay, so my next inductee into the Hall of Fame has one of the greatest roles as a comedic foil of all time. Yet when we talked about her, she was playing a hooker with a heart of gold. And she will forever be remembered as a housekeeper to Charlie Sheen. But I will always remember her as the chief high muckety muck of the denizens of the hot old Baltimore. Welcome to the Hall of Fame, the lovely and talented Miss Conchata Ferrell.
I don't know if it picked up on the mic, but it was like the Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez golf clap from Men at Work.
Like this. Greg, golf clap.
Golf clap. Okay. Now, let's get into my second inductee. And this is someone who we brought up in recent weeks. But we talked about him, I think, in the Ropers. And also, we brought him up in 2021 on that 1954 episode of Climax, involving Casino Royale, the original James Bond himself, Barry Nelson. I just think it's hilarious that the first James Bond on anything was American, playing an American
Named Jimmy.
named Jimmy Bond. I'm sure that made Ian Fleming just happy.
Did it though?
Probably not. All right, Mike, your third inductee.
It's been a long time waiting for this person to get in the Hall of Fame. Honestly. This person has been one of those character actors, again, sounds sort of like John Fiedler, but a character actor who had been on many things, never a lead, but appeared everywhere in terms of like comedies back in the 70s and 80s. And really, what he's best known for around these parts is he played the game show host Chuck Fleck on the episode of Night Court called The Game Show, where he hosted What Am I? His career goes much, much, much further than that, but we just remember him for that. And he also made a number of appearances on game shows, lower tier game shows in the 70s. You Don't Say, I think both the 1978 version and the 1975 version. I don't think he ever did anything like Goodson Todman, but he was on that sort of second or third tier. Who I'm talking about is Robert Ridgely. Come on down. You're the next inductee into the Hall of Fame. And with that, I defer to Chico. Who is your third selection?
My third selection is perhaps one of the unsung heroes of all Latinos on film and television. Now, we've talked about her in the famous Teddy Z and Alien Nation. And yes, they were bit parts, but they all led to something greater. That being her role as Miss Patty in the Gilmore Girls. Ladies and gentlemen, the absolutely astounding Ms. Liz Torres.
I like how you pronounce the emphasis on the last name. Torres.
Torres.
Torres. Now, my third inductee. We talked about her, Chico, in Saved by the Bell Hawaiian Style. But we also talked about her in Blind Justice. And we talked about her in Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. And we also talked about her in the US version of Coupling. You might know her from today from General Hospital and Bold and the Beautiful, but I remember her from that one episode of Seinfeld where she played George's girlfriend in that one episode where George faked being a tourist. And I'm talking about the one, the only, Rena Sofer. I'll tell you what, she'll be the first person to tell you those people from the Royal Pacific Hotel, they're pieces of shit.
And yet those pieces of shit are signing her paychecks, so you know.
Mike, who is your last inductee?
I mentioned earlier that we are inducting 15 people and one non-human. Here's the non-human. This creature, again, not human, not animal, this creature really first appeared on the scene in Match Game in 1990. He did stuff before then, and actually, the person who controls this creature, I know had definitely been on Night Court, actually on one of the most popular episodes of Night Court. I think it's The Day in the Life or Day in the Life, Another Day in Life, I should say. And he's still touring nowadays, but the reason I'm putting him in is this creature had a show for just 6 episodes back in 1992. And thanks to that show, Greg has coined the phrase 6 seasons in a movie. Because in Greg's mind, and I agree with him to a point, this show deserved 6 seasons in a movie. Believe it or not, Scorch is now a Hall of Famer.
He only lasted 3 weeks on CBS in 1992, but he lasted longer than that in our hearts. And who could ever forget the one episode of Scorch where he had the dragon flu?
As a medical professional, if he starts to sneeze, stand well back. All right, my final individual inductee needs no introduction, but I'm going to give one anyway. I just have 2 words: Stanley Roper. Mr. Norman Fell. You are a Hall of Famer, my friend.
Now, my background fittingly for this week is Norman fell on the Love Boat, giving that smile he'd always give to the camera. Let me just say this. Nobody was as good as mugging for the camera quite well as Norman Fell.
This is true. This
Yeah.
is absolutely true.
Okay. Now, my final inductee, we talked about him in the last precinct. We talked about him in a whole host of other entries in the past. But of course, we all know him for Winston in Ghostbusters. And of course, I'm talking about the one, the only Ernie Hudson. I mean, what else can we say? The man's career is legendary. I mean, yeah, Ghostbusters, but he's had like such long and storied career. I mean, if you look at his IMDb page, it is like, wow, he has done so much.
I will maintain that they canceled Quantum Leap prematurely.
Oh, same. You won't hear an argument from me about that. Now, those are the 12 inductees that we put in. And now it's time for the Lifetime Achievement Award. So, Chico, who is our Lifetime Achievement Award inductee for 2025?
Well, the Lifetime Achievement Award for 2025 goes to somebody that basically made the sitcom blueprint for people my age. It's a man who has had such successes as Punky Brewster, Family Matters, and do we want to call It's Your Move a success? I feel like It's Your Move is a success.
You know what's a success for me? Second Chance 1987.
All right, so there you go. He's had many successes, and he built the sitcom as people our age know it with one rule: the kids are smart, the adults are dumb. This year's Lifetime Achievement Award goes to the late, great David W. Duclon.
And really, one day we have to get around to doing our favorite episodes because we really need to talk about the Family Matters, where Sherman Hemsley went to the Boom Boom Room.
You know, I was just thinking about that episode earlier today for some reason.
And we got to talk about how Mike is ageist against strippers.
Leave my friend alone.
It's not ageist. I'm just afraid that she might like blow out her back if she just turns the wrong way.
If Sherman Hemsley wants to make it with a old stripper, that's his business.
Right.
But also, I'd be remiss not to mention, because we talked about Punky Brewster, that episode where Sherry got trapped in the refrigerator.
That episode saved countless lives, let me tell you.
Now let's get to the inductees. Now, we have 4 inductees. Mike, who's our first inductee of the headlining class?
Of the headliners, the first inductee is somebody known in the voice acting industry, but also made a little indentation in the game show community, a 13-week indentation back in 1983. And actually, Chico mentioned earlier that Larry Anderson was one of the three actors who took part in the Let's Get Personal pilot. And actually, those three people are all Hall of Famers. We have Tim Stack, and we have, as of like 25 minutes ago, Larry Anderson. But now we're going to add the third, Sally Julian. Here's your bust. It's only 8 inches deep.
God.
Good night, everybody.
Now, the second headliner. We mentioned him in the Cool Kids back in episode 40, where he was Gorgeous George. But we also mentioned him recently in My Money in the Bank last year in Just Our Luck, where he played the a-hole boss of Richard Gilliland's character. And of course, we're talking about Rod McCary. And in fact, as this comes out, we just mentioned Rod McCary in our latest episode.
So impeccable timing there.
Yes. But number 3, you know what he would say if he were with us, this third headliner? You'll never make it, Rod McCary. Why don't you just give up right now?
Yes. A veteran of such classics as the famous Teddy Z.
Mike, are you okay?
I'm trying to hold it in. Oh my
Get
gosh.
yourself together.
I can't. I mean, seriously, you go to Hall of Fame inductions, and they put people in, and you see people trying to hold back tears. It's a very emotional moment. This is a very emotional moment for me. This is too damn funny, especially the way Greg sort of introduced him there. I'm sorry. And the thing is, I know, looking at our video, it looks like I'm trying to like hold in a poop or something. But I'm like, this is too overwhelming. This is too funny. But anyhow, continue about this person's accomplishments and making me like hold back my laughter for way too long.
All right. We talked about the famous Teddy Z. Lots of luck. We haven't talked about his roles in Fallout New Vegas, his roles in 2 episodes of Episodes, and his voice work as Falcone in Batman Year One.
Or Roger Myers Jr. in The Simpsons.
Our third headlining inductee. You'll never make it, Alex. Why don't you just give up right now? And then Alex Rocco's, how dare you say my line? Yes, it is Alex Rocco, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh gosh, if I nearly died for Alex Rocco, I can't wait to see what's going to happen with this next person. Somebody may need to get EMS on the speed dial.
We better make sure that in the craft services table that we don't have like any like danishes or anything backstage, because he might eat these danishes and he could have a problem going to the bathroom, because as we all know, he has a problem with cheese.
At least there is burritos on demand.
But he won't eat the burrito. He'll just look at something and then he'll just throw down the burrito. Won't take a bite out of the burrito.
It's a wasted burrito.
But he will give you a belly bump into a pool.
Not to just single him out for one role, please do remember this person was the narrator on the Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons.
Yes?
And he was one half of Jake and the Fat Man.
Yeah, with Joe Penny, minus the robot.
So with that big buildup, who are we talking about? I think everybody knows who we're talking about, but say it to make it official.
We are talking about the great William Conrad. And let's just say, throughout the course of this podcast, we have appreciated him. Hell, we talked about him all the way going back into episode 3, because if you'll remember, he did the intro for Rock Venom.
Needless to say, very deserving.
Yeah. And someone who I can't believe was not in long before this. But I think lately we have had in the last year more appreciation for William Conrad because of canon.
You know what canon was, Greg?
It was a Quinn Morton production.
And a darn fine one.
Yep. So that is our nominees for the It Was a Thing on TV Hall of Fame class of 2025. Now that we've had like 4 years of Hall of Fames, what do you think you'd say are some of the best ones, like the elites in the Hall of Fame that we have so far?
Peter Cullen and Frank Walker.
I think given how often he appears on shows, especially in the 80s and 90s, I think Tim Stack, and also given that Tim Stack is like our first true celebrity fan, in air quotes, I think you got to give it to him.
You know what I say, who I think the best inductee out of everything is so far? And I'm going to be quite honest with you guys. I think that it's Susan St. James. Isn't that right, Susan? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
You just said that because WrestleMania is coming up tonight and tomorrow as we record this.
Oh, yeah, I bet she's very excited tonight for WrestleMania. She'll probably be saying, uh-oh, 50,000 times at her house while watching it.
I bet she's going to have a guest over her house and she's going to say, George!
Come on, George.
George! George! Come on, George! Get me the Pepsi! I don't know why he said, get me the Pepsi.
I don't know why you said that either.
It's the official drink of Susan St. James, apparently. I don't know. George, don't get me in the RC!
Hey, look, it's Scottie Pippen. Hey, ladies, let's have a party.
Oh, man. We're setting that up so much, that episode later this year. But that's going to do it for the It Was a Thing on TV Hall of Fame class of 2025. And we'll see you with some more episodes down the pike real soon. Wow! I'll think of something. Maybe I'll put a cannon open at the end.
With Alex Rocco.
Yeah, I could get that episode on. If I can
Find it on Friendly.
that'll save me the time instead of doing that. So gotta open up Friendly here. I got it queued up, so
Cannon. Starring William Conrad. With guest stars Claude Akins, Frank Marth, Alex Rocco, Julie Gregg. Tonight's episode, Target in the Mirror.